Russell Don Steagall was born the 22nd of December 1938 in Gainesville, Texas. The first of 6 children born to Ruth Mitchell Steagall and George Russell Steagall. He was and always has been a leader.
I did feel a sense of responsibility for those other kids. I was the oldest. Mother depended on me for things that you wouldn't necessarily depend on a child anywhere from 5 to 15. It wasn't anything for me to walk a half mile to the store when I was 5 and 7 to get groceries. And knowing that, I just knew it had to be done. Mother couldn't do it. Daddy wasn't there. I was the oldest. It was my responsibility.
Raised in the country of the Texas Panhandle with a passion for the Western lifestyle, Red Steagall competed in rodeos as a youth and was an outstanding athlete in his teens.
I had an offer for a scholarship to Texas A&M to play football. And that was my junior year. And the morning before the first game was when I went to the hospital with polio. So that part of my dream was over with, because I wanted to go to A&M, play football, and get a scholarship to go to Texas A&M veterinary school. So that dream had to change. And I don't remember even ever thinking, well, why'd that happen to me? I remember thinking, well, that happened to me. Now I got to do something about it. So I started making decisions to change. And there's not a day goes by in my life. If I want to pick up something, I can't just reach down with 2 arms and pick it up. I have to figure out how I can pick that up and move it to where I want it to be. That's a very elementary example, but that's the way my life is.
During his convalescence, as part of the therapeutic treatment, he began to play the mandolin, and then, as his fingers strengthened, the guitar.
And so I take life as a lesson every single day. And that experience with the polio taught me never to take anything for granted. And if somebody says that can't be done, that just means they don't think they can do it.
In 1966, Red got his first break when Ray Charles recorded a song that he wrote with Donnie Lanier. This career-changing song, Here We Go Again, would prove to be Red's biggest commercial success as a songwriter.
So I walked in the door, and Donnie's bedroom was on one side and mine was on the other, and he's sitting in there on the edge of the bed with his guitar. And I said, what are you doing, Donnie? And he said, oh, this little old piece of melody's been rolling around in my head, and I don't know what to do with it. And about that time, the phone rang, and he said, oh, hell, here we go again. He said, let her ring. And he said, here we go again. I said, she's back in town again. He said, I'll take her back again. I said, one more time. I don't think we changed one single word. We went all the way through that song.
By 1969, 60 of Red's songs have been recorded by other artists.
They're drinking music, good country music.
Well, I had 3 #1 country records by other people. Ray Sanders recorded Beer Drinking Music. And then Dale Reeves did A Dozen Pairs of Boots and Walk All Over Georgia.
His biggest hit came with Lone Star Beer and Bob Wills Music in 1976. His love for Bob Wills music also saw him chart a tribute song called Bob's Got a Swing Band in Heaven.
And now Bob's got a swing band in heaven, and they play while Sleepy's banjo rings. The Lord said, Bob, I brought you Keith and Jesse.
1977 brought Red back to Texas and longtime friend Gail Page. They married in Austin, Texas at the home of Edith and Darrell Royal in August of that year. Together, they raised 2 sons, Carl and Stephen, on their ranch near Fort Worth, where they continue to enjoy their small band of quarter horses and longhorns. In the 80s, Red cut back touring drastically, but remained active in various ventures, including his publishing house. He also cut out most of his songwriting to concentrate on writing poetry about the West.
So we're in my office right now on my ranch. And I sat down right over there with a record player in the floor, and I pulled out all those records of people who had recorded my songs, even people like Brooke Benton and people like that. And I played all those songs and all those records. And I sat in here for nearly all night long. And when it was all done, then I talked to myself. And I said, now, how do you measure success? If you look at your catalog of songs that have been recorded, if you look at the number of people who have recorded your songs and the number of records that you've had in the charts, which was 26 at that time. How do you measure success? Do you measure it by #1 records, by the money you got in the bank, or self-satisfaction, knowing that you contributed something to the business that you had dedicated your life to? And I realized that I had contributed enough that I could rear back and pull my shoulders back and say, you've been successful in the music business. Now what do you want to do the rest of your life? Because what you're doing isn't working. So it just so happened that that was in December. And in January, the Cowboy Poetry Gathering in Elko took place. And Danny and I caught a plane and went out there. And when I sat down in that auditorium the very first time and hear this guy say, you know, I've been doing this all my life and I didn't know there's anybody else in the world that did it. And then somebody else said, you know, most cowboy poets don't have their work recognized until the grandkids find it in a shoebox at the top of the closet, because there was no market for it. There was no reason to write it except self-satisfaction. I started writing poems then, and for 5 years I didn't write a song. Wrote nothing but poetry.
The lantern on the wagon led me safely through the storm, a beacon shining brightly.
The Texas State Legislature recognized Red's poetry by giving him the title of the official Cowboy Poet of Texas in 1991. In recognition of Red Steagall's significant contribution to the Western way of life, in 1999 he was inducted into the Texas Trail of Fame in the historic Fort Worth Stockyards. The Texas Commission on the Arts named Red the Poet Laureate for the state of Texas for the year 2006. He was honored at the Capitol in Austin before both the House and the Senate.
I know that I haven't been living.
The cow country of West Texas only has one story, and it's about a group of people who risked everything they had to provide a way of life for themselves and their families. And today, those same people, not the same individuals, but the same group of people, still work in the cow country. They still work cattle horseback, providing beef for the dinner tables of America. That's their reason for being there. And because of their ancestry and the way they were raised, they have a set of values that exists nowhere else in our society in a particular group of people altogether. And that's honesty and integrity and loyalty and work ethic, dedication to your family, conviction about your belief in God, and practicing common decency and respect for your fellow man every day you live. So it's a very unique society. I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm proud to be associated with the Ranching Heritage Center, because that's exactly what the Ranching Heritage Center is about, is preserving and perpetuating that wonderful set of ideals and values and protecting the tradition and heritage of our great American West, and especially our ranching community. It's so important to me that we record in our songs and poems and our literature, our prose, exactly what it's all about. Because 50 years from today, as fast as our society moves, what we write today will be the only reference that those people have to the way we live and the people who we really are. There's really no way I can put into words what the Golden Spur Award means to me. I've been to a bunch of them, and when I read the list of people who have received the awards, to think that I can be classified in the same breath as those people is quite exhilarating. It's very complimentary, very humbling. And, you know, I thought my life was pretty well complete before Gerald announced that I was going to be the recipient this year. But I am so honored, so deeply honored, to be recognized by the Ranching Heritage Center that it probably will always be the greatest night of my life.